boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. A previous story that I touched on in a live stream not but 2 or 3 days ago. Apparently, Claressa Shields is threatening to sue anyone who questions the legitimacy of her recently inked $8 million deal. She left a comment on veteran content creator Punch Drunk Boxing. Under one of his videos, the comment reads, "I promise you, you're getting sued, cause you're sitting there lying, but no worries, you're getting served."
Been served, nigga.
Is that possible? Is it possible to take a content creator to court based on the content that they upload to their channel? Well, that depends. It depends on what the content is and whether or not that content caused you any damages. Psychological damage, physical damage, fiscal damage. Did that content creator's content cause you any money? I want to say that from the moment that Claressa Shields signed what's supposed to be her landmark $8 million deal, $8 million over 2 years spread across 4 fights, there have been a good number of content creators, not just Punch Drunk Boxing, that have questioned the legitimacy of that deal. So that if Claressa Shields is to start sending out cease and desist letters to every content creator that did this, she's gonna be busy. She's gonna be too busy fighting in court to fight in a squared circle. Let's analyze this. Let's try and understand. Is it actually possible to sue a content creator for defamation? And it does depend on what that defamation is. What is it supposed to be? Defamation, and what it is the action of damaging the good reputation of someone, slander or libel per the Oxford Dictionary. Is that what a content creator is doing when they question the legitimacy of Claressa Shields' deal? Are they damaging her reputation, and does that give her grounds to sue for damages? She has to prove that something they said costed her money or caused her pain and suffering, some sort of punitive damages, something. The burden of proof would be on Claressa to prove these content creators damaged her reputation, and she has to then constitute what those damages are. What do they cost? How did they do it? What did she miss out on as a result of what they said? On the face of it, this reads like a scare tactic. She's preying on the ignorance of the masses to scare them out of questioning her deal. That's what I think it is. You start off sending out cease and desist letters that look legitimate enough, even if the case is a frivolous case. The defamation case. On the premise that once a content creator receives a cease and desist letter, they might lay off, and they might not talk about Claressa Shields' deal anymore and its legitimacy, because what she's really trying to do is elicit silence. The deal and its announcement in and of itself, like so much of what Claressa Shields does, was all for the optics. So that if content creators are now questioning its legitimacy, that hurts the optics. The whole show and tell angle. I'm getting paid $2 million a fight per fight for the next 2 years. So if any of you other promoters want to use me, you have to pay me that or more. That's what I think it is. I think it's a bargaining tactic. I think it's a scam. I think Claressa Shields simply could not stomach signing to MVP after all the negative things she's said about them, even though they likely offered her more money than anybody else in the industry. But her pride wouldn't let her do it. She confirmed it herself that she's held talks with Matchroom and she held talks with MVP, and the offers they made were actually good. But her pride likely would not allow her to sign to MVP after all the bad things she said about Amanda, said about Jake Paul, said about MVP. She wants to appear independent. Even though she walked away from a lot of money, she wants to appear like she just walked into more. What a lot of people are referring to as a scam, a lie, a fake deal. Before she tries to come after me, I'm just reacting to those reactions. That's how they described her quote-unquote landmark deal. They think it's fake. I do too. And thinking that it's fake does not constitute a crime or constitute defamation. That's just what one person thinks, and they're allowed to think. Ever heard of freedom of speech? Thinking aloud, because thinking's allowed. That's not grounds for a lawsuit. Ask yourself a question. Is this what somebody does when they just walked into $8 million deal? Spend all their time combing the internet, combing YouTube for people to threaten, for people to send cease and desist letters on the premise of what their opinion is? Who cares what their opinion is? If you're really gonna make $8 million, why should that bother you? You got better things to do than comb the internet for people to argue with about the legitimacy of your deal? Claressa Shields has threatened legal action against YouTubers and others on several occasions, but records do not indicate that she is currently engaged in any active lawsuits against them. Her threats have generally been related to defamation or false claims, i.e., it's a bluff. She's just trying to elicit silence. The announcement she made was all for the optics, and surely you can see how people questioning the deal hurts the optics. I said it in my previous video, I've never heard of Win Records. I don't know what top shelf acts they promote. I don't know who these people are, but what I do know is they're new to boxing. So the idea that they're just gonna kick out $8 million for a fighter when they don't promote fighters all willy-nilly already seemed suspicious to me. What it looks like is you re-signed with Dimitri Salita, same promoter that you were already signed with, and people know Dimitri ain't got but so much money. He ain't the kind of promoter kicks out $2 million a fight for any fighters that he's got. But you re-signed to him, and the money, the supposed $8 million, is coming from Win. But who is Win? Who the fuck are they? Most women boxers, the vast majority of them, do not make $2 million per fight. So when you make an announcement like that, it's gonna get attention. It's gonna get scrutiny. It comes with the territory. When Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano were reported to be making $9 million apiece for what was their trilogy, you didn't have to wonder where the money was coming from. It was coming from Netflix, a streaming giant. The legitimacy of that money is not in question, but this money is because nobody knows Win Records. Who are those people? What kind of arrangement is this? If the money's coming from Win Records, then why did you re-sign to Dimitri? So now you think you can scare people into not asking those questions. You wish to elicit silence with idle threats. I think Claressa would end up spending more on court fees to try to take these people to court than she would actually get back, because this is a frivolous case if she actually tried to make it. I don't think no judge nowhere is going to award her nothing because so-and-so on YouTube doesn't think her deal is real. Another testament to how ridiculous this woman is. She's 30 years old, but she has the temperament of a 12-year-old. In men's super lightweight news, Subriel Matias and Dalton Smith introduce their fight. New York City will be the epicenter of world boxing on Saturday, January 10th, 2026, when Puerto Rican WBC super lightweight world champion Subriel El Orgullo de Maternillo Matias defends his title against the undefeated British contender and number one ranked Dalton Smith, a night that promises to be an era-defining event with an unmissable card live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn at 8 p.m. The historic event represents a momentous occasion for Puerto Rican boxing, as it will be the first time a Puerto Rican promoter organizes a card of this magnitude in the Big Apple. January is supposed to be a big month for Puerto Rican boxing. You have Amanda Serrano defending her titles at the beginning, Subriel Matias defending his in the middle, and Xander Zayas attempting to unify his at the end. Juan Orengo, president of Fresh Productions, recently obtained his promoter's license in New York State, ushering in a new era for Boricua boxing in the international market. This is the materialization of a dream and a historic step for Puerto Rico. Obtaining my promoter's license in New York and bringing an event of this magnitude without needing to partner with another promoter shows that Puerto Ricans can be leaders on the global stage and produce world-class events, expressed Orengo. The Barclays Center will witness a night of greatness for boxing. Statements from the protagonists at the inaugural press conference. Subriel Matias, WBC Super Lightweight World Champion, it is an honor for me to fight in Brooklyn in front of a fan base that always supports boxing. I know Dalton Smith is a tough opponent, but I was born for these wars. On January 10th, I will defend my title with the same strength and determination that brought me here. There are opportunities that are created. others that are gifted, and in this case, we have worked hard to be here once again, showing the Puerto Rican fans globally and the boxing world that we are a reality. Defeats in life, in general, are for true warriors. Not everyone recovers from a knockdown. Thank God I put myself in that position and came out mentally stronger from it. I want to thank Eddie Hearn and Dalton Smith and the English community that will make its presence felt on Fight Night. It will be a great event. Dalton, I want to motivate you to train hard. Don't run. You haven't faced anyone like me before, and I will prove it to you on January 10th. Dalton Smith, the number one contender. First of all, I would like to thank Subriel, Juan, and the Puerto Rican fans. I sat in this chair, and the weather is like my native Sheffield, but I'm in New York. This is what dreams coming true are about, and I have strived to fulfill this dream since I first put on the gloves. This is the pinnacle of boxing, and I will make my childhood dream come true on January 10th. To be honest with you, I don't feel any pressure. I've been boxing since I was 6 years old. I didn't want to steal Subriel's shine during our first face-off after he won the belt, but I will be the one who shines on January 10th. To be honest, I don't feel any pressure. Eddie Hearn knows how to spot a good boxer when he sees one, and I train for moments like this. I've given 100% of myself to boxing since I was young, so I don't feel pressure in this fight. I am facing the most important fight of my career, and Subriel will bring out the monster that lives within me. Fresh Productions, a small Puerto Rico-based promotional outfit, beat out Matchroom for the rights to this fight with a winning bid of $1.9 million, whereas Matchroom, a promotional giant, only bid $1.7. Now, Fresh Productions, unlike Matchroom, does not have a broadcast deal with a DAZN, with an Amazon, with an anybody. $1.9 million is not the kind of money you just have lying around, let alone to gamble, because when you put on a boxing event, that's what you're doing. You're gambling. You're saying, I'm going to put up 1.9 to do this show, because not only do I think I can make my money back, I think I can make my money back and then some. But how does a small, local promotional outfit have that kind of money to gamble with no network deal? That's peculiar.
That's suspicious.
Promoter gets money from a network to do shows.
That's weird.
But that's the situation. Even more peculiar is that they're billing this as a pay-per-view.
For what?
I don't begrudge them their ambition, but the idea that you're going to charge people in the United States $54.99, close to $60 to see this, when neither Dalton Smith is all that big a draw in America, and Subriel's got potential, though he's not there yet. These guys are crazy.
They better go dig up Tito Puente's bones and put him on the undercard.
From a purely fiscal perspective, based on how boxing normally works, it doesn't make sense. Unless you've got some other kind of revenue stream that made all of this possible, i.e., money laundering?
Understanding how promoters get money to do boxing matches isn't hard to understand. Matchroom gets their money from DAZN. So does Golden Boy.
They then use that money to do shows throughout the calendar year. That's how it normally works. But where does a Fresh Productions get $1.9 million? That's not the kind of money you just have lying around.
Let alone the kind of money that you then decide to gamble with on a pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view that people aren't likely to buy. And based on what they spent just to get the rights to the fight, it's not even like they could flip it by auctioning off those rights to broadcasters, say Sky in the UK, DAZN everywhere else.
Why can't they do that?
They spent so much for the fight, they're not going to get that back from those networks. Those networks would only pay so much.
I tell you, it's really fucking strange. And the only way it makes sense is if Fresh Productions has some other kind of revenue stream and they're using boxing to justify it, to launder it.
Boxing and organized crime have a long history together, going hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly, so that when the financials for a fight don't quite add up, and the financials are more of a mystery than the fight's outcome, that might serve us as an answer. Money laundering.
Oh, you never know. Look, I checked this out. I was asked today, I'm like, look, it all depends on when Norman lands, how Haney reacts. If Norman can land, if Haney reacts and he's good, shit, it could be a long-ass night for Norman. It could be. It all depends on if he can take that power or not. That's what it depends on, right? So, Haney is the superior boxer here. He is. He is. So it just all depends on that. As soon as he get that chin hit, or on that temple, or somewhere, if he takes it well, if he's still there, then damn, he can win the fight for sure. But I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not buying the juice. I'm not buying the juice. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And I'm not talking about the juice, the snack. I'm talking about, did I just say snack juice? No, I'm sorry. No. I'm not buying it, people. I'm just saying.
Well, I see the point that Timothy Bradley is making. It's a little hard to imagine that Devin Haney can go 12 rounds and 36 minutes with Brian Norman and not get touched and not get hit with something. I mean, he got hit with something in the Linares fight, something that had him hurt for several rounds, and we know that he definitely got touched up by Vasyl Lomachenko. Linares touched him, Loma touched him, both naturally smaller men and lighter punchers than Brian Gore-Tex. And of course, the fight with Ryan Garcia, where he couldn't seem to stay out of the way of the left hook.
Surmising the potential outcome of the fight, it's not just having a rooting interest in a Brian Norman win. Devin's previous performances, they don't tell the story of a fighter who can walk through the water without getting wet. At his very best, Devin Haney is a long-range fighter whose best weapon is his jab as a range finder and for range control.
But how is he going to control the distance against a guy who's about the same size as he is? Yeah, at 135, where the guys are a lot shorter, with shorter arms, that'll work.
Well, just barely. I mean, Linares touched him with a hard right hand, and to a lot of people, Loma beat him. Guys who are a lot smaller than Brian Norman.
Because Devin Haney doesn't pack an authoritative punch, that's another caveat. How do you keep this guy off of you if you don't land hard enough to keep him off, to keep him out? Brian Norman doesn't have the names on his resume that Devin Haney has, what Devin's got on paper, but there is more to boxing than what you see on paper. That Devin's biggest wins, the best fighters that he fought, every single one of them was smaller than Brian.
Well, couldn't you say the same thing about Terrence Crawford? And he still beat Canelo.
Yes, I could say the same thing about Terrence Crawford, but Devin Haney is no Terrence Crawford. He's a lot more limited
to staying behind his jab and trying to box from the outside, which is easy enough to do when the opponents are often shorter than you are, with shorter arms. That is not the case here.
And you know that wasn't the case with Ryan Garcia either. Ryan was one of the few guys Devin fought that was taller than he is.
You saw what happened, so I see where Timothy Bradley is coming from, that it's a bit hard to believe that Devin is going to go 12 rounds.
He's going to go 12 because he's not a knockout merchant. I don't think he can knock out Brian Norman. So it's a bit hard to believe that he's going to go 12 rounds and 36 minutes and not get hit. Nothing is going to get in.
Yeah, that's hard to believe.
So like Timothy Bradley said, it's a question of how well does Devin Haney handle Brian's power, if he can handle Brian's power, because odds are something is going to get in.
He's going to get hit.